Coming up on Cronkite News, Democrat Katie Hobbs has been called the winner of the Arizona governor race. What she says is her vision of the future for our state.
Plus, millions of Americans have student loans. Why one specific group of people hopes the president's relief program goes into action.
And later, ASU football is struggling with their interim head coach, but another coach is still vouching for Sean Aguano.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Mackenzie Hamill.
And I'm Carolina Hassett. Thank you for joining us. This past week, Arizona voters have anxiously awaited the results in the race for governor. Last night, the Associated Press declared Secretary of State Katie Hobbs the projected winner. And while many are celebrating the win, others are not backing down. I attended a rally this morning where Hobbs spoke to Arizonans. Enthusiastic chants.
Let's get to work.
And cheers could be heard in downtown Phoenix today as Katie Hobbs celebrated her projected win.
We started this campaign by talking about getting the job done, even in the face of immense challenges. That's what I'll do as your governor.
Hobbs says many of these challenges will require help from Republicans.
Rising costs on housing and groceries, homelessness, a water crisis, a border crisis, and women's reproductive freedom facing the most serious attack in generations. These problems are urgent, and it's going to take both parties working together to fix them.
Hobbs said that she will fight equally as hard for those who did not vote for her in the election.
Republicans and Democrats will have an open door to my office so we can get to work, find bipartisan compromise, and deliver for the people of Arizona.
Republican candidate Carrie Lake has not conceded. She tweeted last night saying, quote, "Arizonans know BS when they see it." 98% of the vote has been counted, according to the Maricopa County Recorder's Office, but there are still at least 15,000 votes to be counted in Maricopa County.
In the race for Arizona Senator, Republican Blake Masters has conceded. The Associated Press called the race for incumbent Democrat Mark Kelly on Friday. In a statement today, Masters says in part, "There were obviously a lot of problems with this election, but there is no path forward in my race." He also says he called Senator Kelly to congratulate him and that Republicans need to start thinking like underdogs to win. In this election, there were 10 ballot proposals and Arizona voters approved 7. Cronkite News reporter Jimena Vera explains which of these proposals got the green light.
Voters approved a number of propositions. Let's start with Proposition 211. It will require candidates to report an independent expenditure of $50,000 or more on a statewide campaign or $25,000 or more on a local campaign. Proposition 209 will limit the amount of interest charged on healthcare and other debt. Proposition 131 will create a position of lieutenant governor. This candidate will join the ticket and run for office with the governor. Proposition 308 will allow non-citizen students who have graduated or have attended an Arizona high school to receive in-state tuition. And lastly, Proposition 309 and last check is not passing, but the margin is slim and it will outline new voter identification requirements when voters vote in person and through mail. Proposition 218 and 219 also passed. They both deal with ballot initiative. In the newsroom, Jimena Vera, Cronkite News.
Making headlines out of Washington today, Arizona Representative Andy Biggs challenged and lost to House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy for Speaker of the House. Earlier today, Biggs released a statement saying he was challenging McCarthy for the position because he felt the House needed more reform. Biggs' statement went on to say that, quote, "The American people want us to turn a page after the promised red wave turned into a loss of the United States Senate." The vote for Speaker was secret and only required a simple majority. And with McCarthy selected as the GOP nominee, Republicans need only 3 more seats to regain control of the chamber.
Even though President Biden's student loan relief plan is being challenged in court, already 20 million people have applied for the program. Annie Levino reports on who could benefit the most if the plan is enacted.
The forgiveness plan is targeted towards Tariana Dennis, who has $15,000 in student loans.
The student loan program, forgiveness loan program, will benefit people of color and low family incomes in a significant way.
President Biden's plan would cancel up to $10,000 in student loans for students who earn less than $125,000 per year.
It's going to be an extra $100 that I could put in my savings account.
Those low-income students who received Pell Grants will be granted $20,000 in forgiveness. Experts say Latino and Black borrowers will get significant help.
It'll impact Latinos dramatically. I think half of Latinos who have student loans will be completely wiped out. Also, with the African American community, you're seeing that you're seeing a large amount being wiped out as well. And these are also the two demographics who have the most student loans.
One report says 90% of Black and 72% of Latino students take out loans to attend college in comparison to 66% of white students. Tariana Dennis says she will feel the relief to her bank account.
At an extra $15,000 that I won't have to worry about, I can save that money and put it towards down payment on somewhere to live.
And she's not alone. The hope is the program will help put millions of dollars back into the economy.
It's going to liberate a little bit of their income to pay for goods, services, pay for things like rent, gas. The prices of things going up.
In Phoenix, Annie Levino, Cronkite News.
The FAFSA application website says they are no longer accepting applications, but a number of media outlets are reporting that the Biden administration is considering extending the payment pause on student loans once again.
Still ahead on Cronkite News, more than 70 million people face employment barriers in the U.S. by having a criminal conviction on their record. How one Arizona nonprofit is working to break down those barriers and give second chances.
Thanksgiving is next week, and it looks like we will have a sunny but slightly chilly one. In a few minutes, I will have your full forecast.
Okay, let's go right up in here and start having some fun.
Such a thrill to be able to do this.
Recreation is the gateway drug to conservation.
How do you create that perfect straight edge?
You can do anything.
History is today. Chasing the American dream.
Experience something personal.
The place of imagination.
I can go anywhere I want to go.
You guys are just going to love it.
An entertainment experience unlike anything.
There's something for everyone with Passport on the PBS Video app.
On Masterpiece Mystery.
Evil can find its roots so easily in an English village.
The landscape of criminal investigation.
Murder, almost certainly.
Modern policing methods.
We endeavor to do our best.
We're working hard to solve this case.
And to make sure justice gets done.
It's a new adventure.
And the rest, as they say, is mystery.
I can hardly wait.
Art was one of the powers that made life life. I think we all believed that.
I'm gonna kick down every single door. I'm gonna show you you never ever seen before. So control you, I'm gonna show you.
This is a real life story of a real live person.
This was my only connection to my culture.
Look at me now.
Fight the power.
Look at me now. Look at me now.
Our stories deserve to be heard.
You're passionate and you respect your heritage. That is a perfect recipe.
Now is the time for the Reformation. Now is the time to rebuild the nation.
That's amazing.
You're making me cry.
Some girls can go out there and just steal a spotlight.
This is the moment that we've all been waiting for.
Everyone has something to contribute to humanity. The arts are the thing that does that.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
The Arizona Department of Transportation is asking for your help.
It's holding an in-person meeting tomorrow to get feedback on its statewide plan to add more electric vehicle charging stations. The plan would place more EV chargers along interstate highways, and the money would come from the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program. Tomorrow's meeting is the last chance you'll have to give your input on where the charger should go. It's from 5 to 7 p.m. at Gateway Community College. We've been having some pretty chilly temps here in the valley, but will they last into next week's holiday? Isabella Fredrickson is in the Cronkite News Weather Center with more.
Now, to answer your question, Carolina, we are going to be expecting some cooler temperatures into next week, but thankfully, Thanksgiving is looking sunny. Now, as we start off with our evening planner, we are looking at only 65 degrees at 6 p.m. And as the rest of the evening continues, the temperature is just going to drop. By 10 p.m., we are only at 57 degrees. Moving on to our high temperatures across the state of Arizona for tomorrow, we will be seeing a wide range of temps. Our high in Phoenix tomorrow is only at 71 degrees, but up north, we are looking at temperatures into the 30s. Our coolest for tomorrow will be up in Flagstaff at only 38 degrees. But down south, we will see those warmer temperatures looking at low 70s to high 60s. With the cooler temperatures is going to be a lot of cloud coverage across the state. This will be seen all across the state. And finally, as we take a look at our 8-day forecast, again, low 70s to high 60s throughout the rest of the week. We will be seeing a lot of cloud activity Friday, Monday, and Tuesday, but thankfully Saturday and Sunday are looking sunny. Isabella Fredrickson in the Cronkite News Weather Center.
In the United States, more than 70 million people have a criminal conviction or arrest on their record. In Arizona, there are more than 46,000 people in prison, and 92% of them will stay in state after serving their time.
This population faces many employment barriers upon release. I talked to an AZ nonprofit working to combat those barriers and break the stigma, all to provide people with a second chance at success.
Perryville Prison. It looks like any ordinary penitentiary, but it's one of the 3 prisons in Arizona to house the Second Chance Center. The Department of Corrections partnered with various organizations that connect incarcerated people with employment opportunities. One organization participating in this partnership is Arrowette. The foundation's target group is women.
And we really walk shoulder to shoulder with these remarkable women and support them for a year to 2 years as they increase their journey back into society.
Valerie Ochoa is a former participant of Arrowette and a sales manager at tech company Demand Base. She says when she was growing up, she didn't have the right influences and lost her way.
Eventually trickled my way into the justice system. From there, several different times in and out of the system.
John Shellman shares a similar story. He says he couldn't dream of living the life he has now when he was released from prison over a decade ago.
For years, everybody told me if I ever put my effort, as much effort into a legitimate hustle as I did into my getting high and the stuff that went on with that I'd be successful. And as it turned out, they were right.
Investment strategist and author Jeff Korzenek agrees. He says many businesses are missing out on opportunities by not hiring people with criminal records. He understands the hesitancy, but says the decision should be made for the goal of mutual success, not just a quick buck.
If your sole reason for hiring from this population is I want cheap labor, if you don't look for talent, you won't find it.
Barriers that former inmates face in the employment process include not knowing how to access required documents, inexperience with interviews, lack of professional clothing. Many are barred from positions from the get-go by simply checking yes for the criminal records section on applications. Arrowette provides participants with hygiene starter kits, financial education, and even laptops, so they're prepared to enter the workforce. This kind of help inspires participants to influence the same kind of change in their own ways. Shellman hires people with criminal backgrounds at the business he co-owns.
I don't have to worry about what scam we're going to pull today, or how, where are we going to get our drugs today, or what are we going to do today. We know exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to change lives, and we're going to make a difference.
And Ochoa says she is a role model for her children and grandchildren because Arrowette gave her the support she needed.
My kids are so freaking proud of me. I was in the system 3 times and never thought I'd get right, never get it together, I didn't want to leave that type of legacy behind, but now it's a completely different story, and it's never too late.
Last year, Arrowette helped 127 women find jobs with its skill classes and the help of partnerships. It measures less than a 3% recidivism rate, and Rapping said she only expects numbers to improve.
I'm Joseph Furtado. Coming up after the break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report. How ASU women's basketball's new coach is filling the position in her own way.
Ain't no time for imitation, ain't no time for playing. I'm just gonna do me.
You know what I'm saying?
Try to stay out of trouble.
Where's the fun in that?
You know how ladies can be.
I'ma do what I do.
Did you know newsrooms today are looking for bilingual journalists? Cronkite Noticias prepares you to cover diverse communities. In Cronkite Noticias, you will obtain an unforgettable experience.
Nopales como este van a tumbar.
Cronkite Noticias.
And develop your skills with the latest technology.
That way the flavors will marry nicely.
Can you tell me what I'm looking at?
I'm not looking for love, I'm looking for cookies.
And there's still places to discover.
It just absorbs you.
You can make this at home if you can't find it.
I will continue to eat and drink until you get here. Get here fast.
Cheers.
Oh, look at that. Oh, doesn't that look good?
We are going to be eating well.
It does work.
It does.
We got a happy little sky.
We're just getting started.
Welcome back to the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Joseph Furtado. ASU has hired an outside consulting firm to help in the search for a new football coach. The university confirmed that interim coach Sean Aguano is still under consideration and will participate in the formal process. Aguano has gone 2-4 in his first 6 games at the helm, and the Sun Devils have had a tough stretch of facing ranked teams and are officially out of bowl contention. The host number 25 Oregon State this weekend in Tempe. But despite their poor record, defensive coordinator Donnie Henderson thinks there's no better person for the head coaching job than the one they've got right now.
You got the perfect candidate. I mean, Sean has done a great job taking over this program and leading it in the direction we are in. I mean, you think about it now. I've been around a long time, and when you start making changes at mid-season, it could go the other way.
And ASU women's basketball takes the court tonight at Montana State. They've opened the season at 2-0, getting Natasha Adair's tenure off to a good start. Cronkite News reporter Ashley Engel talks to the Sun Devils head coach about the start of a new era for the program.
ASU head coach Natasha Adair was looking to put her stamp on the Sun Devil program from the start.
At the end of the season, I want people to be able, when they're saying who is ASU women's basketball, I want them to talk about our defense. I want them to talk about our culture and our chemistry.
Adair comes from a background of coaching college basketball for nearly 3 decades while being authentic and vulnerable to players.
I'm a mom, and I think for me to be able to show them who I am off the court, it'll allow them to understand my passion and my drive on the court.
Following the success of previous head coach Charlie Turner-Thorne, ASU's winningest head coach Adair wants to continue that success and beyond.
What did the previous coach do, not from a strategic standpoint, but what did they do in the community? How did they engage? And where I'm going to put my stamp on it, you never lose sight of the past. especially a storied past, a championship past, a winning past, and a winning culture.
With the Colonial Athletic Association regular season title under her belt, players know what is expected of them, but know the coaches have their best interests for everyone.
I think that they're real genuine. Like, everything that Coach A says is really from the heart. And the way that she teaches is not like, necessarily aggressive, but more rather to teach you and to build you, but obviously get on to you whenever is needed.
Defend, rebound, run, and score is the formula Coach Adair has used throughout her coaching career. This will help her players approach the season one game at a time.
We're not that team that's one-dimensional, that's just going to play defense or just rely on our defense. We're going to make sure we respect the game and execute on the offensive end.
Adair's coaching methods are contagious as players from her previous institution followed her to ASU to continue to learn from her passion for the game.
I think that because it's my last 2 years, and with my goals and aspirations of trying to play after, I'm just trying to start off good, just coming in here playing on a higher level and just competing.
With the chemistry and the new changes instilled in the program, the Adair era is ready to turn some heads this season. In Tempe, Ashley Engel, Cronkite News.
Coach Adair and the Sun Devils play 11 games before opening Pac-12 play against the 18th-ranked Arizona at the end of December. And on the men's side, ASU lost its first game of the season on Sunday against Texas Southern in overtime. But despite sitting at 2-1, there's a sense of urgency for the team. Cronkite News reporter Liam Archer has more on how Bobby Hurley's squad needs to get off to a fast start.
Although winning 2 of 3 to start the season, ASU has struggled at times already, most notably coming from behind in the final seconds to beat Tarleton State in the opener. Both head coach Bobby Hurley and the players were honest about the team's inconsistency.
I mean, it was a win. It looks a lot better than 0-1, so it was a win at the end of the day. But, yeah, he knows what the conference looks like. He knows that we're going to see tougher opponents later on down the road, so we definitely got to pick it up.
2 years ago was dysfunction at its finest, and it was just, we had the program on the verge of going somewhere important, and no one in that year or last year really did anything to continue to advance the program.
Under the last 2 seasons under Bobby Hurley, Arizona State has compiled 11-14 and 14-17 seasons respectively, but failed to make the NCAA tournament altogether. Hurley emphasized that improvements need to be made for this team to see success.
Now we're in the situation we are. We're in the situation we are where we have to learn how to sustain a lead, and we got to win with with people that are committed and want to help this team win.
With a handful of newcomers in the rotation, this ASU team certainly looks different on paper. With a little over 2 weeks until the first Pac-12 matchup, the Sun Devils will have plenty of opportunities to show that they actually are. In Tempe, Liam Archer, Cronkite News.
Arizona State's next test comes tomorrow night against Virginia Commonwealth in Brooklyn as part of the Legends Classic. Well, that's it for today's Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Joseph Furtado. Back to you, Mackenzie.
Still ahead on Cronkite News, there's good news on the cancer front. How much the survival rate has been increasing for people with lung cancer.
It's prime time on your time. Watch Prime Afternoons every weekday on Arizona PBS. Did you miss a show in the evening? Then catch up on Prime Afternoons. Your favorite dramas.
No more bloody heroics.
Antiques Roadshow.
Really?
Nature and Nova.
It's time to reintroduce some wonder into this miracle of nature.
All of the best from PBS on Prime Afternoons. Weekdays starting at 1:30, only on Arizona PBS. When you support Arizona PBS, you plant a seed. Seeds that provide educational outreach in our community. Seeds that put our digital resources to work. Seeds that foster the trusted news coverage you expect from PBS. And seeds that continue the amazing PBS programs you love. But our garden can't keep growing without your support. Visit our website to see all the ways you can help our garden grow. Plant a seed with Arizona PBS today.
According to a new report, more people with lung cancer in the U.S. are surviving.
Experts are calling it remarkable progress, but it's still the nation's leading cause of cancer death. The 5-year lung cancer survival rate increased from 21% in 2014 to 25% in 2018. In communities of color, the survival rate is lower at only 20%, according to this year's State of Lung Cancer report. Cases fell 11% nationwide from 2014 to 2018. In 2021, the U.S. Preventative Services Task Force expanded its screening recommendation for lung cancer. It's now recommended for anyone who currently smokes or has quit in the past 15 years. That's it for Cronkite News Tonight.
Thanks for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.